Wolves represent the wild. You know, we tried to do them in. They were considered the antithesis of civilization. And I was fascinated with the remote, with the wild, with the untamed. And wolves were symbols of that. My name is Douglas Smith. I just retired from Yellowstone National Park as a senior wildlife biologist. Most of my career I've studied wolves, and that's over a 45-year time span. People look at wild animals as they're just one thing. A deer's a deer, a bear's a bear, a wolf's a wolf. And so you expect all wolves to be the same. And that's not true at all.
Yellowstone Wolf Tracker takes people into the park to see wolves because people are fascinated with these animals. My name is Nathan Varley. I am an advocate for wolves, and I'm a wildlife biologist by trade. My wife and I started Yellowstone Wolf Tracker. In the early 2000s, we developed a technique which is kind of your best chances of seeing and learning about a wolf that you can get.
We start early because the animals are going to be crepuscular, so it's active at dawn and dusk primarily. They don't really like the middle of the day when the sun's out because they have a winter coat on. Hey, how's it going? So right now we're heading into the park. My colleague Michael is waiting for us at the Blacktail Plateau, and he's scanning that area before we get there for any activities. We're listening to howling early in the morning before the sun comes up. Oftentimes you don't get to see the animal while they're howling, but hearing wolves howl is very special. This place is so vast. You're looking at landscapes from the road, landscapes that are 2 miles away. We're scanning in certain areas where we have seen them before. There's corridors where they travel, their favorite hangout spots. The movement of wolves is determined by their food. As guides, we don't have anything but our understanding of the landscape, the behavior of the animals, the communication between guides, things like that. We don't use any other equipment. Many people do expect us to be tracking them physically. We are not. We're just doing it based on our knowledge. It's amazing that we can actually find them almost every day.
I grew up in Yellowstone, and so I got to know the park pretty well, and I've never really left. There was a lot of changes that I witnessed growing up in the park and living there now. Wolves were absent for much of the 1900s. It was policy to get rid of large predators.
It wasn't just killing them. I mean, they tortured them, cut off their lower jaw, let them go, fed them chunks of meat with nails in it. This was bad stuff.
The reason wolves were killed was because they were just thought to be bad animals. People misunderstand a lot of things about wolves. Perhaps one of the most misunderstood species.
You've got 3 Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, a wolf in sheep's clothing, wolf at the door. Why did we develop the stories? Because we did not like them. We domesticated livestock. The goal was human domination. A big predator's the wolf. The wolves needed to go.
Michael, do you copy? This is where we're set up. Beautiful view. This one spot right here, you can see at a great distance. You're looking at the landscape like it has a grid on it, and you're looking between each square and watching for any color movement. Right now, I see bison out there, which is great because the bison give me a perspective of size to work with. He's about 2,000 pounds. I know how big a wolf is compared to a bison. Then you're also looking at animal behavior that might look like they're concerned. They're alert, they're alarmed, their ears are perked up, and that's usually because there's a predator nearby. Shut up. Go, 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 go.
What the headlines don't get right are the details. 50 years ago, it would have been ludicrous to think there'd be wolves on the ground in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. Yellowstone, early part of the last century, was pretty much not a natural system because we pulled away those predators.
There was a great abundance of grazing animals because the predators were essentially missing. Really, for the better half of the 20th century, the biggest natural resource controversy in Yellowstone is we have too darn many elk. There would be just such high densities that they could overgrazed aspen is a great example of a species that was disappearing on the landscape in Yellowstone because of the effect of elk. By the 1990s, there was a government plan to reintroduce wolves back to Yellowstone Park.
I was hired as the project biologist in Yellowstone, and really that was what changed my life. And then all of a sudden I was in charge of the program. Bringing them back felt like the right thing to do. It's the right thing to restore nature, and it's also the right thing to do because we wiped them out. So there are 3 years of wolf reintroduction, 95, 96, and 97, total 41 wolves. 31 came from Canada, 10 came from Northwest Montana. And as soon as they came, I had no life. It was take care of wolves for 10 weeks in an acre pen. We did what's called a soft release. We let them go March 20th, 1995, and then you had to follow them. I mean, they took off, they're a wild animal. And then the work really began because they're loose and the world was watching and everybody expected them to cause problems. So I was flying almost every day, keeping track of them.
There was a buzz about restoring wolves to our first national park. It felt really big, and in a relatively short amount of time, there were enough wolves on the landscape that we didn't even have to consider them endangered anymore. A lot of people in the conservation world would call this one of the achievements of the century.
It was historic, and I'll say to this day, the job was mostly done by the wolves.
Oh, there, oh my God. You hear that noise? It's coming from that little guy right there in the top of this tree. It's so close. It's crazy. That's a pygmy owl. Pygmy owls are hard to find. They're about the size of your fist. This is the first time I've seen a pygmy owl in months. This is very exciting. He's so cute. They're very challenging to find. This never happens. Sometimes when you're watching for wolves, you find owls. It's a good problem to have.
We don't ignore the other animals we come across. Our guides find them, and we leave you with a great sense of what they're all about, so you learn a lot along the way. Wolves are considered a keystone species because they have a really big effect on the entire ecosystem around them. There may be only roughly 100 wolves in Yellowstone, but those 100 wolves have an incredible influence over their prey species like bison, elk, mule deer, the list goes on. And that effect trickles down to what those grazing animals eat. So over time, wolves influence the vegetation growing in these places because of their influence on those herbivores. So their predation from the top trickles down these different trophic levels to influence the primary productivity of the ecosystem. And in some places, we've actually seen a resurgence of aspen on the landscape 30 years after wolf recovery. It's truly a modern view to regard wolves as part of this greater whole that we can't eliminate, and people that are fascinated with wolves have come to the park in great numbers. Those figures are pretty alarming. One economic analysis suggested there's some $80+ million generated a year because people are coming to Yellowstone to see wolves.
10 Michael, 10 Rebecca.
Go ahead.
I am just passing the Cottonwood Pullout, heading your direction. About 25% of wolves have collars on, and that's one way that they're able to document their activity without disturbing them. So they can basically tell a general area where they are located, not really a precise live location. The stronger the signal, the closer they must be. This is information that is not generally available to just anyone. Fortunately, as guides, we develop good relationships with the people that we see out here, including people in the Wolf Project. And so over time, they are willing to share that information. Oh, we got some bison in the road. These two are sparring right now. Nothing too serious, but that's rut behavior. And then these little guys are calves that were born last year in June. This is 10 Rebecca, go ahead.
I'm up at the perch. I'm gonna be up here for a few more minutes. Seems like things to stir.
Probably my most favorite moment of guiding people to see wolves in Yellowstone is when they finally see them and there's this striking moment of familiarity for them that they weren't expecting. They're like, oh, they're just like dogs. Wolves are also very curious. Wolves are also very playful. Wolves are also very affectionate with each other. So all those qualities come out in wolves. A good example is wagging their tail and greeting each other. And nothing fascinates me greater than the relationship between dogs, humans, and wolves, and how intertwined they are. Scientifically, one might say wolves and dogs share about 99% of the same DNA, same genetics. That makes them incredibly closely related. And in fact, scientists say wolves and dogs, even our most unwolf-like dog, are the same species. They're Canis lupus. And so dogs are simply wolves whose 1% of that different DNA has specialized to living among humans. At some point, we started sharing with them. And ultimately, that led to a relationship that lasts till today.
This is my wolf. Her name is Poppy. She is somewhat camera shy. I have sat in the wilds looking at wolf pups at den sites. And if I look closely through the spotting scope and don't think about what my environs are, I think I'm looking at dogs. That's how close wolves and dogs are. We took all the little sharp edges out of a wolf and we made them truly our best friends.
So your domesticated dogs that are at home with you, what are they doing the majority of the time? Sleeping, nothing, right? That's exactly what wolves like to do too. Michael, if you can hear me, it's a little choppy coming from your end. Are you guys seeing something?
Anyone copy? There is Junction into
We're going, let's go.
north.
So they have junctions on North Butte. So we're gonna head back the other direction and see what we can find. Yep. So the Junction Butte wolves are the ones that we've been trying to find this morning. This mountain right here in front of us on our right is actually Junction Butte. They're generally named after some kind of landscape feature where they're found. Their pack formed in 2012, so 2024 in December, the alpha female and alpha male were both killed in the Junction Butte pack. And 907F was the female's number. She became somewhat famous because of how long she lived. Their lifespan is only about 4 years generally. And so she lived till she was 11 and a half years old. She walked like an arthritic dog. She had one eye and she was still killing it. She was still the alpha female and giving birth and raising puppies when she died. She was fatally injured by the Rescue Creek pack. And that's a normal way for an animal in Yellowstone to die, especially wolves. She was an exceptional wolf. So this is North Butte right here. This is the area that they were telling us to come to. Which direction? Are they out that way? Okay, good, thank you. Oh, I see them. Awesome. There's a whole bunch of little black dots. We've got some wolves bedded down in the sunshine, in the snow, right around some trees, pretty far out there. They're not doing much, they're just laying down. One of them's sitting up, some ravens flying around, so that's a good sign. That probably means that there's a carcass out there somewhere. So in this pack, the Junction Butte pack, there are 15 wolves. There's 9 adults, 6 puppies. We're generally hoping to count them every time we see them in the landscape. We have lost a couple of these Junction Butte wolves to hunting this year.
And I think we definitely always want more conservationists coming up in the world, and maybe that one kid seeing a bear or a grizzly or a bison through a scope will trigger something.
This is not one of those jobs where it gets boring. You can get exhausted and tired, for sure. But it's always exciting. There's always something going on, and every day is a different day. It's incredible.
Bringing back the wolves was important because we restored a native species that was killed off for the wrong reasons. Now we know better. As long as we're not really hostile towards them, then they're gonna do fine. They're gonna find their way across a large landscape. They're gonna reproduce really well. They're going to bounce back from population losses. And that's what makes wolves resilient and able to live on a landscape.
Wolves are incredibly tough animals. They are a great example of how to go on through life and not feel sorry for yourself. I believed fervently in what I did. I didn't think we should have wiped wolves out. I originally wanted wolves to be every place. I've learned they can't be. And I've been accused by a lot of people of turning my back on them, giving up on a mission to save a species. But our approach to wolf management is still really aggressive. We kill a lot of them. I'd like us to move more kind of towards the middle. And the only way we're going to do that is by being reasonable. You just give them half a chance and they can come back. And that's mostly what happened in Yellowstone. It was the coolest thing that I ever done. Looking back on it, it was a front row seat and I wouldn't want to have been anywhere else.
I remember having my wolf moments early on and just being like, yeah, I want to live here. I just want to live here and work here and be advocates for these animals. Seeing people cry when they see a wolf for the first time, that's a pretty good feeling.